Hello everyone and welcome to another amazing episode of BRT Fresh. Today we're bringing you a special pandemic edition. As you know, the coronavirus has left a huge impact on the world we now live in, and lessons from that global crisis has shown that the government alone cannot handle all our challenges. Today on the show, I'll be speaking with the Managing Director of PrimeroTransport Services Limited, Mr. Fola Tinubu. PrimeroTSL is in charge of the operations of the Blue BRT buses that run from Ikorodu to CMS here in Lagos State. He'll be shedding more light on the recent increase in the price structure of the organization and, of course, the new BRT bus fares. Of course, I'm your host, Angela, and the show begins after this. Welcome back to BRT Fresh, the special pandemic edition. I'm here with the Managing Director of PrimeroTransport Services Limited, Mr. Fola Tinubu. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
How are you doing?
We thank God we're still alive.
Yes, we are.
It's been very challenging, but we're still here.
Yeah, social distancing and everything. That's why we're
As
like
you can
this.
see.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. Over the past few weeks, many of our commuters on the buses have taken to social media to express their, concerns about the new fares. So how would you address this? What led to the decision?
Thank you very much for that question. I've been doing lots of media interviews on this. I've been on TV, I've been on radio, I've done some newspaper interview. For the last 4 years that we've been in operation, Primero has not been profitable.
Wow.
And none of the investors in Primero has taken one kobo out of the company in 4 years. Wow. And before the pandemic, I've been saying it that the system must pay for itself. The book has to be balanced. If we want the system to be, if we want it to be around 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it must be profitable. It must be at least break even.
Yes.
If we are a governmental agency and you are running at a loss, the taxpayers are behind you, they can write off the losses anytime. But a private company cannot keep on piling up losses without doing something about it. The fares that we were charging was not enough to cover our costs. There's a political decision that needs to be made. Who pays for what? But the system itself must break even.
At least
break even.
Yeah.
And if we do not break even, eventually it will collapse. And the people that are complaining right now, I remember about a week in May when we were off the road. Danfo was charging 1,500 naira from Ikorodu to, and people had no choice. And they were charging 500 from Ikorodu to Mile 12. People had no choice. So that's eventually what will happen if we don't do something to make sure Primero becomes profitable. And our books are open. Because of the bond we did last year, you can check our books at the stock exchange or at FMDQ. It's open. So I don't have anything to hide. But the system itself must at least break even or make a little profit. A system whereby the fares we are charging is not enough to cover our costs and the government is not subsidizing, it's a recipe for disaster. And it's high time we start telling ourselves some truths in this country. There's no free lunch anywhere, even in Freetown.
I agree.
Everybody, it must be paid for. The people supplying us diesel are charging us commercial rates. People supplying us tires are charging us commercial rates. The banks are charging us commercial rates. Everybody's charging us commercial rates. Yet people want us to be charging below the market value. The math simply does not work. And I've been telling them we are not a governmental agency. If we are a governmental agency, then you can be run at a loss. We're a private company. We have to find a way to break even or make even at least break even.
So, sir, would you say that it's majorly because of this pandemic that, or would you say that the pandemic was like the straw that broke the camel's back? Or what would you say triggered the company to just make this decision at this point?
We've been asking Lagos State for this for over a year. We've been asking Lagos State government for this for over almost a year now. Because we've shown them our books. We don't have anything to hide. We've been asking for this. See, we can, unlike the Danfoss and the Molways or something like, we cannot just increase our price willy-nilly. We have to get approval from Lagos State, and it takes a while. It's just that the time the approval came, was during the pandemic. We've been asking for this for almost a year now.
So, to the commuters out there, I would just like to ask that you say something to them, just so they understand, where we are coming from again. How would you just address them?
To the commuters,
Yeah.
I do understand their plight. And I do understand things are very rough right now. I do understand that lots of people have lost their jobs because of this pandemic. And I do understand that the situation in Nigeria, because somebody earning 50,000 naira per month, by the time they take taxes, that person's probably going on with about 35,000. And if he's going to TBS and he pays 1,000 naira a day to commute, at the end of the month, he will have spent almost about 25,000. So that's almost all the money gone, and he still has his kids, his family, food, and everything to take care. So I do understand that fully. But my job is to make sure that this system is around 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. That's my number one job. And for me to do that, actually what I'm doing is in everybody's long-term interest.
Yeah.
Maybe a short-term discomfort, but in the long run, it's going to be, it's in everybody's interest in the long term. Because, like I said earlier, look at what the Danfoss did when we went off just for 1 week.
Yeah.
That's exactly what will happen if Primero goes, God forbid, goes out of business. And we must break even. There's no ifs or buts about it. So they just have to bear with us and know that what we are doing is actually in everybody's long-term interest. They may not see it now, but eventually it will crystallize and everybody will see that what we're doing is actually in everybody's long-term interest.
So definitely this wasn't something that we could just avoid, of course.
Look, the last thing I want is to add to people's burden. That's the last thing on my mind. But if we don't do this, and God forbid anything happens to Primero, these people that are the ones that will end up paying more.
Yeah. The burden will still fall on them.
The burden will fall on them.
Interesting. So just to ease things down a bit, we know we had months of lockdown, and then we went on Twitter to talk to some of our followers to ask them how the lockdown was for them, and people had lots of funny things to say. At Ewen Feature said, the most hilarious thing should be finding out that I can stay indoors for 3 months straight without stepping out. I used to think I was an extrovert. She also said, I've been steadily shopping online out of boredom. I would normally always go to the market to get my stuff, but IG online stores have suddenly become the plug. Another user at Nezi_Yvonne said, I don't know the most hilarious thing, maybe not knowing what the day is, or me sitting at home all day and thinking of how I'm supposed to be planning my graduation party if all of this did not happen. At Femechi said, I'm not sure anything hilarious has happened, probably how I don't miss leaving the house. And finally, at Ima_Anosike said, All the times I've turned in deadlines 30 seconds to closing. It's funny what people come up with just to hold off boredom. If you're seeing this, tweet at us at ValueMedia_NG for your funny experience during the recent lockdown. So how would you say yours went? How was the lockdown for you?
Lockdown for me was actually a very busy period.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because what we did when we realized the lockdown was coming was we made a plan and we camped about almost 200 of our mechanics in our yard. So they were there throughout the whole 5 weeks of the lockdown. So we're fixing buses and getting them ready for when operation starts. So I was constantly, I was actually almost every day in the yard to see what they're doing and all
And
that kind
because they
of
were
stuff.
taking care of food and
Yes, we got somebody to provide food for them and everything. So, so it was actually a very busy period for me. While most people were at home,
Yes.
I was actually going back
Yes.
and forth, and the effect has, shown now because like today now we have over 305 buses on the road because we were able to fix most of the buses that were down during the lockdown. So we were able to revamp them. So we're now putting more buses on the road. Actually, because of what we did, people are not, because remember, we're only putting 42 passengers on a bus that normally takes 70.
Yeah.
So, because of that, if we've not done that and have more buses on the road, it will actually even make it more difficult for people to board buses. So, it's actually helped us a lot.
Yeah. Well done, sir,
Thank
with
you.
all the work. Welcome back to BRT Fresh, our pandemic special edition. Mr. Fola Tinubu, the Managing Director of PrimeroTransport Services Limited, is still here with us. So to pick up from where we stopped, what are the new rates?
The new rate, actually, we've simplified it. From Ikorodu to Ikeja, Ikorodu to Fadeyi, and Ikorodu to Oshodi is 300 naira. And anything from after Fadeyi is 500. So Ikorodu to Barracks, Costain, and Lagos Island, Yaba, Onyigboa is 500. So we've streamlined it now. So there are only two fares, 300 and 500 naira.
Okay, nice. I know that you already touched on this before the break, but I would just like to ask specifically for people out there who are still wondering, is there any possibility that so why are you laughing? I'm not finished. Is there any possibility that the fares will revert back to what it was before now?
Like I told you earlier, we were not making money at the old fares. So going back to the old fares is just compounding our problems because we're not making money at that old fare. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. So is there any particular way that these new tariffs would affect the operations of Primero as an organization?
It should put us in a much better financial situation, especially once we start going back to 70. Right now, we are not seeing the full effect of the new tariff because we're only carrying 42 passengers per bus. And because they are fixing that mile 12 Koshofe axis, and the buses are not flowing as well as they should, we're not getting the full effects of the new fares. But we believe that once that is done and we go back to 70, we should be fine financially.
Okay, great. So can you shed more light on the ticketing structure of the pay fare cards? Are they still free?
Actually, I can even tell you something new that is going to start hopefully next month. We're going to open up the ticketing system that any ATM, contactless ATM card will work on it. So you don't even need to get Lagos Connect or any cards at all. So you can use any ATM card as long as it's contactless.
Okay.
You can use it on the system. So we're opening it up. See, the system we brought is a very robust system, but we were opening it up gradually. But we feel more comfortable now that just use your ATM card. So you don't even have to get any cards, you don't have to buy any cards, you don't have to do anything at all, just use your ATM card. So from next month on, everybody can use their ATM cards on our system. We're going to start advertising it probably by next week or week after next. You're going to see lots of media, print, radio, and TV ads just use your ATM cards on it, so you don't need to buy any
That's
more cards.
great. That's great. And of course, there's still, the cash option, like that you
We
said.
actually want to discourage people from using cash.
Hmm.
Look, this pandemic also has shown the disadvantages of cash because the virus, can stay on physical cash. And the way our people handle cash, especially the market women and the artisans or something like that, some of those notes you don't even want to know where they are coming from.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so let everybody use cards. Actually, we will even start a promo that
Okay.
will encourage people to use cards. I think we're
Okay.
going to be giving some money away, something like
Oh
that,
wow.
for depending on how many times you use a card a month or something like that. So we want to encourage people to use cards. And since we've opened it up to ATM cards now, everybody has an ATM card.
Yes. Yes. Well, some
Well,
people don't have, but
well,
I
I,
would like
be,
to think that
I believe, I
majority
believe,
of
I believe
yes.
majority of people have an ATM card. So you just
Mm,
use your ATM card. You don't even have to worry about getting any Lagos Connect or anything like that. Just use
yeah.
your ATM card.
Mm. So do you think that you're going to completely, stop the use of cash payments at any point? Or how soon do you think that might come?
That's where we are going. That's where we are heading because that's what the CBN, even the CBN and
Yeah.
federal governments are trying to do by discouraging. Look, if you're using an ATM card, if you lose your ATM card, you can call your bank and you can stop them, or they can put a stop on so that nobody
Yeah.
can use it.
Yeah.
But if you lose your cash, it's gone.
Yeah.
And using card actually makes you, you can plan your, this is what I need for the week, this is what I need for, for the month or something like that. So it makes it makes it better. And that's where the CBN and federal government are going. They're trying to discourage, cash so that, we, we, by encouraging cards, it gives us revenue assurance. We know where our money is coming from, and it blocks leakages. So we actually want to turn it around that about 95 to 100% of our revenue we want to come from cards now.
Mm, interesting. Well done. Well, we have. Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, then we are discussing the new price structures on the Blue BRT buses. Of course, Mr. Fola is still here with us. So, speaking about the pandemic, I mean, were there any palliatives, relief packages that were given out during this period?
We did the best we could, and we were able to give out some masks. We went to different bus stops with some of our vendors. We gave out masks, we gave out hand sanitizers, and because of our financial situation, like which is obvious to everybody, we couldn't do as much as we would like, but we did the best we could.
All right. And then talking about safety on the buses, what have we put in place to ensure that the buses are safer? I know you mentioned, that we will now have 42 passengers instead of the 70. Can you shed more light on that?
Yeah, we agree with Lagos State government with directives. We only put 42 passengers on the buses, and there's nobody standing. And we turn off the ACs so that there's fresh air coming in and cross ventilation or fresh air coming in. So we're going whatever Lagos State government decides will abide by, because health is wealth, and most of these decisions are not punitive, but to actually help all of us,
Yeah.
because we all have to pull together in this pandemic to ensure that at the end of the day we'll find a way to defeat this virus.
Yeah, we have to work together. I definitely agree. So we've sadly come to the end. But before we wrap things up, do you have any last words, anything you might want to share with our viewers?
Basically, what I can say for them to trust us that we're doing everything that's in their best interest to ensure that the service they're enjoying now is here for a long time. And we are working to improve our services. We'll keep on working on it. We'll keep on trying to put more buses out so that the wait time is reduced considerably. I know the wait time has gone up again because of that Koshofe road construction, and the third mainland repairs also will affect us. But we're working with the government, and they should work with us and know that we have their best interest at heart, and we will make sure we do everything in our part to reduce their waiting time and to give them value for money.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure with every single thing you said, I'm actually very happy that you were able to join us because you've shed more light on many of the things that people would have normally, expressed their displeasure at. So once again, thank you so much for
You're
joining us.
welcome. My name is Fola Tinubu. I'm the Managing Director of PrimeroTransport Services. During this pandemic, please let's be safe. Let's keep safe distance. Wash our hands with water and soap, and wherever we cannot, please use hand sanitizers and keep using our services. Thank you.